morning, a cuppa with Kaye. I'm going to try and keep this one short today, but we'll see. I've got like a list here that I'll keep looking at just to keep me on track, so I don't keep wandering off. Okay, but I've got a couple of things to talk about. One is the development sites that we see all over the UK. One is this flu variant thing that is coming out. And another thing is just, what do you expect from life if you continue doing the same things all the time? And how are we actually going to change? I'll just take that toilet roll out of the shop. I've got a gummy nose because I keep drinking this stuff and I haven't got any milk, so I'm using powdered milk. Now I'm going off track again. So let's keep back on track. Right, when was it that you first woke up? I mean, I can go as far back as 9/11 or maybe even the BSC crisis. It was that, the beef and the way they were killing all the cattle and and the things that I found out. You could even go back to possibly no, that's the furthest back I think I can go. It's the BSC crisis. That's where the government advised all our farmers to give our cattle 2 injections, okay, and to help them recover from this jittering disease that they had. And it was something to do with the brain being mashed up. No, I don't want to go into all the technical and medical procedure labelling or whatever, but the gist of it was, knowing what I know now, I've seen a picture forming over the years, and I may seem crazy saying this, but what I think has happened with that BSC crisis was that they put all the farmers out of business, all the ones who were cattle farmers. They were devastated. They couldn't recover from that sort of thing. So what they did was the local councils bought up the farms and rented them back to the farmers. Okay, so a couple of decades later, what happens? The council starts selling off the land that the farmers are renting, putting these people out onto the streets effectively, which is, I think, why many of them are committing suicide. And if you're a farmer and you're feeling that way, please come to me, go, get in contact with me, because I've got loads of things that we can talk about, and I'm a psychotherapist and I deal with soldiers who are attempting suicide, and I've got I've saved a few lives through the things, the techniques and tools that I have. So please don't give up yet, okay? Your life is valuable. I have felt that was in the planning, that was purposefully driven in order to bring about what we've got today, expanding the tiny villages, the beautiful little villages that we have across this England that is ours, and possibly Wales. I don't know so much about that, and I know that they've been building up in Scotland an awful lot because I was there when they were doing it, especially in Dundee and Arbroath seem to be joining together. And if they really wanted to accommodate people, all they have to do is renovate all these empty factories and office blocks that we've got into accommodation for people. You don't need to build on green belt land. And I also recognised it when every year over the past, well, I don't know, possibly a decade, maybe a little bit further than that, we've been scared or deliberately provoked into getting flu vaccines all the time, every year. And every year I kept saying to people, we've had every farm animal disease that we can get, apart from flu, which is sheep. Okay, and you kind of think, well, when are they going to pick on the sheep? Well, they did, didn't they? Flu came around in 2020. Oh, and the irony of that, eh? So yeah, we did have it eventually. And I just think, okay, all right. People always think that all of these things that people like me are speaking about are conspiracy theories. All right, now we're beginning to understand that they are fact. We're not crazy, and this world is being governed by people who are, I don't like to call them elites, because elite is something special, it's something good, it's something, it's the peak of their profession, that sort of thing. A sportsman who's at the top of their league or whatever, they're elite. But if you call them elitists, that's completely different altogether. And I think if you call them that, then you start to believe and begin to understand what they're all about. They are elitists because they think they're above you. They're not. They need you, and they don't realise it. They have no emotion, which most people would call psychopathic, but I think there's some kind of other apathy that they should belong to, because it's a completely different mindset altogether. And I look around the world at the moment and I see floods, earthquakes, fires, and I just think, and wars everywhere. People being provoked into fighting each other, not just in wars with weapons and bombs and things like that, but wars with words, wars with division, like culture, gender, religion. All these things, they're just there to divide us, to make us feel fear. And if you can just get rid of that fear and go on with your life, none of this means anything. None of what they say, what the media tells you, can hurt you or affect you in any way. And that's the key to it all, I think. People have got the power. I mean, look at Bud Light, a prime example. And cash now. You think of cash now, it's growing in use now. Look at David Curtin's video, latest video on that one. You can take a little bit of confidence from that people are showing they have got the power. And this thing, I say, take the fear out of your life. It's hard enough to do that, but okay, a way of doing that is just to know that we all have to die at some point. I don't like the fact that people end their lives because they think they've got nothing else to live for, no meaning, there's no point to their life, and they've been devastated and rejected and abandoned and all those horrible things. But if you know yourself that inside of you, your life means something to somebody, even if it's just to yourself, then you will live and you will shine that light onto the world. Every person, every animal, every bit of vegetation on the planet gives off a light, and it is special. If you end that light, we just go into darkness, and the rest of humanity has no hope. Maybe I'm talking a lot of gobbledygook here, but if you can try and understand, okay, the very first thing to getting meaning or a purpose or a point to your life is to get off the couch. Says me sitting on it having a cup of tea. Get off the couch and do something. Go and talk to somebody. I mean, I make a point of, when I'm walking around the shops, people think, yeah, she's a crazy bitch. But I talk to anybody, and I do it because I think, you know, we're all wrapped up in our own little worlds, and if you could only just realise that we are all humanity, we are all people that just want to live a peaceful life. We just want to, you know, go to work, earn the money, which is going to disappear if we don't, you know, act now. We won't have any control over our life, but the general person in the street that you pass by, that you look at and don't even acknowledge, just wants a peaceful life with their family. They want to put food in their bellies, roof over their head, clothes on their back, and money in the bank. You know, we just want to love one another. Maybe not love, but like. There's no malice in the majority of humankind. And if there is malice, it's only because it comes from fear. Let go of the fear. Look around you. Approach people. Just make a little comment. You know, I was looking at trying to find beef sausages in the sausage counter in Sainsbury's, which I hate going to. I prefer to go to a little farm shop. However, I was looking through the sausages, trying to find the beef sausages, because I don't like the pork. Pork is not kind of like something I like to eat. I don't know why. I like bacon. I used to like bacon. Yeah, I used to like bacon because it was very salty, and I loved it on brown toasted bread with a sliced banana on the top and brown sugar. That was delicious. People thought I was mad for that, but you taste it. It's the caramelized sugar over the banana that just tastes lovely. Anyway, yeah, I was looking through the sausage counter and trying to find the beef sausages, and this person came up, I don't know, probably in his 50s, good looking chap. It was all right. He was, just an average looking person, and I don't know, threw a comment out saying, where's the beef? Where's the beef? And he went, me here, I'm the beef. I thought, oh my goodness, okay. And I laughed, and we just didn't say any more to each other, just passed by. And that kind of like broke the ice between two people who were strangers. And the thing is, if you can do that to anybody, say anything to anybody, just a silly little remark. I hated it when they stopped all the wolf whistles. I thought, why are they doing that? I used to like it. I felt embarrassed, yeah, of course, but especially when I was riding my bicycle, I used to wobble down the street past a building site thinking, oh no, I'm going to pass a building site. But then when you pass it, it gives you a high, Might be feeling embarrassed at the time, but you're thinking, oh, I'm still got it, I've still got it. But it was part of growing up, and it was lovely. And to stop that, to stop men from doing that, was I think the start of realising what they were doing to men in general, and women, separating them and making them fear each other again. Please don't fear each other. Okay, I know it is boring, but if you can just stay focused on the positive aspects of life rather than looking at the negative all the time. I know I used to be told, okay, negative people are realists, positive people are fantasists. I'd rather be in my fantasy world than looking at all the bloody bad things about society. You have to be aware of it, and I guess that's what they mean by being a realist. Just be aware of what's going on, and then make a decision to avoid it. That's all you have to do. Yeah. The only enemy really are the elitists. The people who you go to the shops with, or you pass by in the streets, or you go to work with, they're not your enemy. Even other nations are not your enemy. I mean, Russia and Ukraine fighting each other like this. The politicians want it, but the men on the ground don't. I know that there have been reports, like I read my latest psychotherapy magazine coming through the door, and they said, where is it? Oh, I can't find it. What it said in there was that soldiers were interviewed and asked what were their thoughts about war, and most of them were saying they loved it. They really looked forward to it, and they loved the thought of the kill. But I don't think that's true. I mean, I spent 10 years with all these army guys, and each of them, they were just young lads trying to get an education, a proper job, or escape their environment, which was encouraging them to go down the addiction route through drugs and alcohol, gambling, all that sort of stuff. And they joined the army in order to get out of that environment. And when some of them were misbehaving to the point where they got discharged, they were so fearful of going back into that environment because they knew that the path that they would lead to. So my job was to encourage them to find other ways and to live in other environments and to find another place to live. But the thing is, okay, your neighbour is not your enemy. Nobody wants to fight. Nobody wants to fight each other in order to kill each other. Yeah, we fight each other to settle disputes. We argue with each other. We debate with each other. And that's healthy. Because if you don't have all these different points of view, then you don't learn anything. If we all thought the same, we'd be bloody boring, wouldn't we? I think if you can just learn the basics of living off-grid, okay, just figure out what you need to live on. Try not to get hooked up to this internet society like I am right now. I know it's ironic, but I'm trying to teach you something. And think about, okay, if the grid went down, what would be my first reaction? What do I need? Light, food and water. If you have ways of providing those for yourself, you're halfway there. If it's in the winter, you need to have some way of warming yourself. If you can't get heating from an external appliance, then make sure you've got thick jumpers or duvets or, you know, thick socks, that sort of thing around you. Gloves, hats, woolly hats, not these little cap things because they're not going to keep you warm. So you need food, water and energy. If you can think about how you would supply that if the grid went down. And also communication. You need to be able to communicate with somebody who's maybe not next door but in the next street along. If you can't get on the phone or you can't get on the internet, how are you going to get in contact with them? That's the thing you need to figure out. I think it was when I first read George Orwell's book 1984. I think everybody knows that now. But that was about the New World Order. And when another George Bush, started talking about it, what we need now is a new world order. And he's got a big speech on, you know, to the Parliament, filmed, talking about it. And then every politician since then, I'd noticed, new world order, what's this? What is it? What are they planning? And I kept asking these questions. And slowly but surely, all these things kept unravelling to me. And I think it was the Aldous Huxley one scared me. Brave New World. That really scared me. I thought, I don't want to kill older people. When you get to a certain age, there's no like older people in this society that they built. And when they get to a certain age, this kind of like hypnosis goes over them and they go into this underground vault where they get killed, euthanized. Euthanized is a soft word, but they get murdered basically. And it's so sad, because when you look at the wisdom of aged people, they're so valuable. You think of when you're 25 years old, this part of your forehead, the prefrontal cortex, is not fully formed until you're about 25 to 30 years old. And you know what this does? It reasons, it makes decisions, it decides what is right or wrong, or which path you should walk along. You think before you're 25 years old, you don't really make decisions, life decisions, that are going to tie you down. You just want to live your life. You just want to, I'll put this up here. You just want to go about all these exciting things in life and enjoy. You think of childhood. Children live in their dreams. They live on the playground mode. They love enjoying things. They take fun and squeeze everything out of life. And it's wonderful to see. And when you get to the teenage years, that's when all the hormones start racing around your body, and that becomes a confusing part of life. And that's why you get troubled teenagers, because they're trying to establish their own identities. They're trying to figure out why their bodies are doing this to them. They don't understand. That's where mums and dads come into the equation, because they're able to tell them what's going on, rather than screaming and shouting at them and putting the laws down and restricting their movements and things like that. It's good to sit around the table, have a meal together and discuss life. But that's all gone too, hasn't it? We sit down with our dinners on our laps and watch the telly. Time to go back to the old ways, I think. Look at all the old cowboy films. If you're worried and wondering how to establish that again. And you look back on society and you think, okay, how have we degenerated so much to the point where we're so depressed about life? You look at the architecture of old. How were we able to build beautiful buildings like those? And now we just build ugly concrete blocks. Or even brick up the beautiful buildings, put a brick facade over the, top of, on the outside of beautiful buildings. Why do we do that? Because I think we had a far more advanced civilization than we have now. I mean, that's all been hidden from us. And if you think that's a crazy thought, go to Britain's Hidden History, Ross, and he puts a very good case forward. I'm unfortunate he died a year ago. Through heart attack, but his work still stands, and they're re-uploading old videos with a narration over the top, and it's wonderful to keep that alive, and I'm hoping that they continue. But anyway, yeah, just look at old buildings compared to what's now, and you think that is how the mind of society has been degenerating too. And it's so sad. Money is another thing. If you can keep cash alive, thank God, money usage seems to be on the rise of late. And you look at David Curtin's videos and you find that that's true, because he's showing all the graphs about it, and it's wonderful. I love the thought that people are getting together and saying, no, you're not going to take control. The next thing on the list is this. They're taking away your home through telling you that you need to repair the house or make it environmentally sustainable by investing loads and loads of money into your property. You think of big old houses. It's not just going to affect the poor people, is it? It's going to affect the rich people too. So we're all going to be lumped together in the same category. So we all have to get together. We'll have to use cash. We also get away from these smart meters and all of these smart devices. Stop buying them. Don't let them into your homes. They say that this bill, if it's passed by our wonderful King Charlie, I say that with a roll of the eyes, they will have the power to come into your home and arrest you if you don't have or don't comply with the orders that they need, which is to make your house environmentally sustainable. And that means investing loads of money to make it carbon neutral, I guess. But we're made of carbon, so does that mean to say off you pop again, off to the gas chambers with you, as they did in the Second World War? You think of the divisions in the culture all across the world. And it's not just one society, is it? It's every country in the world is convinced that There's left and right. There's black and white. It's your nation and my nation. Your culture and my culture. Male and female. Or not. We're not encouraged to fight each other. See the differences in each other. And think horrible things about each other. And that's all from the news on the television and the newspapers that we read. All you have to do is put those things down. Have a quick trawl of the internet. Or go onto YouTube and you can see any video on there that is bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. And everybody's like benevolent, kind deeds. People like me trying to help you see outside of the box. Or even if you can't go onto the internet, or you don't want to go onto the internet or social media at all, step outside your door. Go for a walk down the street. Go to the local shop. Talk to people. Who is having an argument? Who is standing there saying, I don't want you in my country? Who is saying all of these things? Not your neighbours, not your friends, not your family. Your family might be arguing amongst yourself and you know they're different personalities. You say, oh, that's just Uncle Bob. And you say it with a wry smile, and you know what all of this means. At the moment, you can walk down the street in this country quite reasonably. Some people out there might be saying, what world are you living in? I'm living in England. When you talk about cash again, they can't deny you paying with legal tender. If you go into these shops and they want you to pay by card alone, all you have to do is put the equivalent amount of cash down that they ask for and leave with your stuff, because they're not allowed to deny you it. Not now, anyway. So just use it or lose it, because these banks are disappearing at a rate of knots. I want to have my money in the bank of Dave. And that is a true thing. He has created a bank on his own. Cannot more savvy businessmen do that? Please, we need your help. We don't want you giving to these bank robbers. They're bank robbers, aren't they? They steal tax from us and they don't pay it back. And they're the ones who are crashing the system, not us. And this CBDCs, I can't get my tongue wrapped around that because I don't want to, I guess. They are trying to control you through these things. As soon as we get that in, we are doomed as a society. So you have to start bartering or finding other ways of communicating and doing business with people and buying stuff from people. Don't think of cash as the only way of dealing with others or buying stuff and things that you don't really need anyway, apart from food and water and a roof over your head and clothes on your back. When you actually boil it right down, all of this that I've just said is just, can you observe it? Do you see it happening around you? If you hear something bad, go out there and have a look. Physically connect with it and see if it's true. Like climate change, for instance. Okay, I spoke to a geologist recently and he believes it. He's for it. All hook, line and sinker. Okay, think of going out, standing on a hill, which you can in this country, in Wales and Scotland, and look down over a forest early in the morning, or any time when it's like misty or rainy, anything. You can see how the forest breathes, all those trees, the mist coming off of them. It's like mist from your nose or your mouth on a cold day, cold morning. That is what creates the rain. It goes up, fills the cloud, and it comes back down again. With these things that they're spraying in the skies, and if you haven't seen the lines in the skies, look up. Go up and have a look. Get off your couch and have a look. These things are designed to block out the sun. And why do they want to block out the sun? Because they don't want the trees to live. They don't want us to grow vegetables on our own. They're creating all these massive farms where they're putting in thousands of animals in one location. That's why they're getting rid of all the farms, so that you can't eat. They're controlling your food chain. Who are they? We know who they are now. It's like the forest breathes out. I mean, if you've got a plant in your room, in your bedroom, you have to have a particular plant in your bedroom and in your shower, because each one of them does different things. Like a certain plant will give you oxygen at night time. Another plant will take it away from you at night time. So the one that gives you oxygen, you'll breathe much easier. The one that takes it away, you'll be tossing and turning all night and wondering why. You'll also be tossing and turning all night if you have electronic goods in your bedroom too. If you've got your phone right near your head, you can have a blood clot. Because these are technologies that we don't quite fully understand, and they've been foisted upon us in order to bring about control over the population. Why do you rely on the government to do everything for you? Have they succeeded in anything? Have they told you the truth about anything? Have they ever given you anything apart from furlough payments when you were off during COVID? Which I never got. I never got at all because I got made redundant. Right at that point when it began. I lived like this ever since. And the only way I've figured a way out of it is to rent a cabin so that I can practice my work. Helping heal other people, their minds, their bodies and emotions. Maybe this has been a bit of a rant today, but I felt I needed to get it out there. I mean, governments, they just, if there's a problem anywhere, what do they say? Let's have a war on it. Anything that you really just need to sit down and talk about and discuss and debate, they don't do that. They just put loads and loads of laws down. There are so many laws now. We don't even know if we're breaking one of them. We're just trying to live our life. Let's go back to the common law where there were only, a couple of laws there. Don't cause any harm or loss to anybody. Fine, that's it. No other law than that. And I could really have a go at the doctors who are doing operations on children to change their gender. You doctors, you know what you're doing. Do no harm. That is the Hippocratic Oath, and you're breaking it. And woe betide you if there's another Nuremberg trial. If you don't stand up, if you don't have the courage, then you deserve what you get. You're the front line. You know what's right and wrong. So you can just wrap all of this up in just 3 little things. You can measure the spending of the government, measure the intentions of the government, and measure the success. 3 simple things. That's all you have to do. Be observant and watch. Go outside your door. Know what is right. If you don't know what instincts are and you think that they're failing you all the time, feel it in your gut or in your heart. They give you sensations to tell you this is wrong. And if you fear something, it's completely wrong, isn't it? It's making you frightened. So what will make you not frightened? What will make you stronger is connecting with other people, using cash because you have control over your own life through that. Get rid of those credit cards, get rid of your phone. Don't put so many apps on it, only the ones that make your life enjoyable, put it that way. How can I say this? Living off-grid is not easy. It's like going back to the cowboy days, you know, the pioneers of the old days, and they went out across those lands. I reckon they saw loads of beautiful buildings and wonderful cultures. And I think that's why the Indians, the Native American Indians, were massacred, because of what they knew. Not just the stories that they told of history, but what they witnessed. The elitists didn't want those stories getting out, because they've been going on with this for hundreds of years, maybe even thousands. And it's time for humanity to stand up and be counted. Because if we don't do it now, your children are going to be prisoners for all of their lives. Do you want that? Do you want them to live in a society where they can't speak, they can't love, they can't play, they can't be themselves, they can't have children unless it's born in a bloody lab, which is what they're doing now? Think about it. Ladies and gentlemen, ask questions and be open to all possibilities. I think that's all I have to say today. Peace be with you, my friend. Bye-bye for now.